Okay, so brace yourself because this is this is one hell of a thing to understand. But welcome to the second part, the second video. So now what I'm gonna do is show you how I deployed our code, or how I deployed the code from the GitHub repository to the live site. Now, what the server does is that what we have to use git commands to essentially publish the repository to the server. So yeah, it's kind of like how every time we make a change or a commit, we publish it to our own repository. That's the same thing. But now instead of publishing it to our own repository, we are publishing it to the web server host repository, like publishing it to them. So let me show you how I did it. First things first, we're using a service called Heroku. So let me just show you. Yep, here. Right. So in Heroku, we need to download their CLI. To get our website, one second. Yep. So right here. So I'll include this as well, but essentially on a Mac, because Mac OS, or if you're on Linux, it's very convenient. You can install everything from the terminal. So yeah, if you're running on Linux, or if you're using a Mac, use this. But if you're on Windows, you can install it, the bit version here. Okay. Now, after you've installed Heroku, let me take you step by step to what these files actually do. So essentially, before this, all we had were our data frame, a data frame file right here, and we had our Excel file. Okay, so it was literally just these two. It was this file and it was this file. And how our website would work is the Python file will read the Excel file and then convert all of it into assets, which gave us our website. Okay. Now to actually run the code on a website, we need server or backend server configuration. So these are sort of backend files that help with server configuration, that tells the server how you want to run the site. So I got it from this article here, Heroku deployment. So what we have to do is, first we need a requirements.txt, which in this folder, in our Python data frame folder, which is our repository folder, we can see that requirements.txt, essentially requirements.txt is just what we need for the server to run. Sorry, that looks a bit jarring. Okay. As in what dependencies to install. So you know how we installed pandas, how we installed plotly, how we installed streamlit? It's kind of the same thing, but now you need to tell the server itself to install these libraries, or your code's not gonna work. So the reason why I put a lesser than sign here is, if you do not know the exact version of pandas that you're using, or you don't know the exact version of anything that you're using, just do a lesser than sign. Yeah. And this folder is actually generated by the pip request command. So let me see if I can find it for you here. Actually, I'll document that in the documentation instead of trying to scroll all the way through this. Just highlight the important parts, which is making sure that everyone understands what the hell's going on here. So requirements.txt is essentially, like I said, a dependencies folder. It tells the server what dependencies to install. So let's say, for example, we were using React.js, the front end framework, then we would need to add React.js and a version number over here as well, so that the server would know what dependencies to install. Yeah, okay, that's simple. Now, next, we have our setup.sh, which is a shell file. And we take this shell file directly from the documented website right here. So here, the setup.sh and proc file. So setup.sh will create the Streamlit folder, credentials.toml and config.toml. So literally, we take this code, copy it, paste it, and then we rename the file, copy it and paste it in here, and then rename the file from a text file to .txt, instead change it to .sh. And what that does is it changes it to a server shell file, so it becomes a shell command. Okay. Next, and the most atrocious one to deal with, was the proc file. So the proc file is essentially telling the server what to run. Yeah, literally just telling the server what to run. So in this case, we're telling the web server to run setup.sh, which is our shell file. We're telling it to run Streamlit because that's our library and we need it to run the website. And then we specified that it's going to run dataframe.py. So essentially in the shell, we are running setup.sh and Streamlit, which is our background, and then specify what file to run, which is dataframe.py. Yep. So we're essentially running everything from this one folder. So what is essentially what you're telling the web server to do is, hey, run this thing. That's pretty much it. The problem with this is that proc file needs to be a no type, an actual no type. So how these have .txt behind them, even though I removed the .txt from the proc file, it still showed me that it was a text file, even though it didn't have the txt extension, because I think both on Windows, Mac, and I think Linux as well, a server's default a blank text file, a blank file with text is automatically configured as a text file. So the way that we can change this, and let me show you right here, is what I did was, this is going to be a bit confusing, Jesus Christ. Okay. Let's see. Oh, did I not? Okay. Oh, shit. I'm in the wrong terminal. You know what? It's okay. Give me a moment here. Let's see. Rename profile. Yep, right here. So as you can see right here, what I did was I did Python frame data cd. You know what? I can just do it right now. So we go cd, and then we go cd into where my repository is located on my local computer. So that's going to be desktop, humidifier repo, Python data frame. So now we're in that library. We listed out that we have all our files here. So the way that I check if the proc file, even though I manually edited the txt out, I found out that it wasn't working, because when I ran the server command to start the server and like run the actual web page, I got this error right here, which says that no web process is running. Right here, it says no web process is running, which is very weird. And then I realized that the proc file, after googling and asking AI, that this was the web service. This is what it needs to run. This is actually telling it to run. So it couldn't start the actual process itself. And the reason was, and the only way that I could find out that proc file was actually still a text file, was from my command. I literally cd'd myself into here, and then I just hit ls to list it out, and proc file was still procfile.txt. So I needed to change this manually. And the way that I did that was I used command line to change it. Let me just show you right here. Yeah, so I found somebody who was having the same problem as I was, the application error, which is right here. And essentially we have to do Heroku logs dash dash tail, which is what I did right here. This is the output of Heroku logs tail. So this is essentially showing you your server logs. So it says, okay, this is created, this is created, this is created, this is created. But then here, the server logs an error, 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 error. And then this is created, 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 and then 2 more errors. So 5 errors in total. So that's how you pinpoint the error. We could have different errors. Anyone trying to run this, you will have different errors maybe. Maybe one of your files is not configured properly, yada yada yada, you know. But essentially, if the errors ever pop up, or if the server seeks to not run, we have to do Heroku logs dash dash tail to check the log. Okay. So that's when I found this solution here, where someone had the same problem, and it was on a Windows, where Procfile, even though removing the text file, removing txt, was still a text document. So the solution was, well, this is because I'm using a bash terminal on Mac, and all I had to do was type git nv procfile.txt to procfile, just literally procfile. This, you can ignore this line. We all know what this line means that he's just committing this as a fixed profile name. But after which, I can show you right here, I did that and it fixed the problem. So this was procfile.txt, and then I ran git mv procfile txt procfile, and then I listed it out again, and then and then I listed it out, and yeah, it became Procfile without the txt. And that's when I reran the server, it actually worked. So that's pretty much it. That's the explanation of what these files actually mean. They're actually not too complicated. One of them is your dependencies requirements, one of them is the shell, and the other one is the Procfile, which tells what to run. And then, of course, we had Heroku installations and stuff like that. I'm not gonna bore you with those details. It's not that nothing. I'm just checking here. Yeah, there's nothing much that I need to say about that. But let me just show you how we actually ran the server. So after you install Heroku CLI and stuff like that, you have git add after you created everything. Then I made a commit to fix the Procfile, because at that time it wasn't fixed. Then after that, we do git push Heroku main. This is where you push the git file that you created. And also, here's a tricky thing. So we are not actually pushing our repository. So our repository, or like my repository right here, our repository, the humidifier repository, is located right here, right? It's on my page here. Yeah, so literally right here. This is our humidifier repository. This thing right here. The thing is that for this deployment, you are deploying it from your device. So what you need to do is type in a git command called git init. And what it does is it says it will, well, in this case saying reinitializing for my case, because I already have it running. But what it's going to do is create a temporary git repository inside of your current file. So make sure that you're on, this is the most important thing, make sure that you cd into the correct directory. You need to be in the same directory as your data frame and your like where all of your program files are. You have to put these all in the same. So make sure that you're in, which is in our case, Python data frame library. Python data frame file. Okay, so what we have to do is we use git init to essentially make a temporary git file inside of this file here. And what it's going to do is we are going to push this git file. So we don't need to link it to our GitHub repository. Instead, we can just push this file. We can push this git init file. So that's why when you look at the code that I wrote up here, give me 1 second. Yep. So that's why when you look at the code that I wrote here, we have to do git add dot, which means git add -a. It's pretty much the same thing, because we had to create a temporary repository with git init, and then add all of those changes and commit all of them to the temporary repository and push the temporary repository to Heroku. So it less complicates things, because if we had to link our GitHub to the server deployment, that would be much more of a headache. So instead, I think this method of creating a temporary repository and then committing all of those changes into that empty file and then pushing it onto the web server, Heroku's web server, works much better. So, and one last thing to be wary about is that git push Heroku main. Git push Heroku is standard because we are pushing it to Heroku repository on their website. But this path here, it could be main, it could be master, and it depends on your main branch here. So in our case, if we go here and then we type branch, we get to see that, wait, what? Am I in the wrong? Oh, sorry. What am I doing? Git branch. There we go. So if we're in Git branch, we get to see all of, like in this case, in my local device, I have all of these branches, and we get to see that our main branch is called main. It's not called master. So in this case, git push Heroku main instead of, from the tutorial that I was watching, this was Heroku master. But this depends on what your main branch is. So in our Git, main is our main branch. Therefore, this is main. Yep. And then that's pretty much it. You press enter, it runs the site, and then in the end, it spits out a URL for you, which you then can copy paste, and then we have a functioning site after the fact. There we go. Yep, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope I could make you guys understand what all of those files mean. That's pretty much the intention of this video. So yeah, thank you.